disaster struck. Things started to separate. Hello! Welcome to this episode of Wander and Create with Emma. This week I'm taking you with me while I visit the UK. I'm heading out in just a few hours to the airport, so while it's nice weather and I'm going to be not moving too much for the next 24 hours, I wanted to get out in the sunshine and move myself a bit. I've got 3 hours before I head to the airport. I still need to finish packing, so let me show you what I'm planning to take with me. So this is what I'm taking with me on my trip. I've got the open edge tee, and then I've got some socks, my next sock design, and the needles ready to go. I've got the smaller set too. And then in here, I've got the tape measure, crochet hook, a little sachet, because I'm hoping I'll finish this. Interchangeable needles, I've got a pen, I've got nail clippers somewhere in here that will act as my scissors, a pin to hold stitches on because I think I'm going to have to do that soon with this top. And yeah, that's it, it's all going to go and carry on. I am at the airport, just got to get myself through security. Hey, it has been a week since I got back to the UK. I didn't even do any knitting on the plane. I had my open edge tee with me, but I think because it's a night flight I just didn't want to pick up the needles. It gets a bit dark, I didn't want to have to put my light on and disturb the people next to me, so I just didn't end up picking up, and it was actually a few days until I went back to any of it. It's just been go since I got back. I haven't done any filming, like I say, I haven't done any knitting. But today, it's early in the morning, it's 6:30, I just got on a train. I'm going to go and visit friends for the weekend. I've got lots of trips planned. I'm kind of going across the UK. I'm seeing some friends I haven't seen for a while, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I've brought a project with me to pass the time on the train. It's a new sock design I'm working on. I did the swatch for it quite some time ago, so I'm going to get cracking on that today, and hopefully I can get at least one sock finished over the weekend. So I've been back in the UK for about 11 days now, and I think this morning is the first time that I've had a couple of hours to myself where I haven't been rushing to get somewhere and see people. It's been great, I'm having an amazing time, I'm getting to catch up with lots of people, some people I haven't seen for a really long time, so it's been really great to have that time with everybody, check in and catch up with how everybody's doing. However, it means I just haven't been recording with you guys as much as I wanted to. I haven't been knitting as much as I had planned to, but you know, that's not the reason why I'm going on holiday, and coming to the UK is not to just have sitting and YouTube recording time. But as I do have a couple of hours this morning, I thought I'd do a little check-in. So the two projects that I had taken with me are the Open Edge Tee by Jessie Maed, and I was also starting to work on my new sock design, so I'll just show you where I'm at with both of those. The Open Edge Tee, when I left Vancouver to fly back here, I think I had done the left shoulder shaping of the front here. I've now completed the right, and I'm on the very, I'm on the very last bit of the back shaping, so I'll be joining them together and then doing the sleeves. So I'm almost done with that. I think I'll be able to get that finished before I leave the UK. I reckon I'll be done. Still got kind of 5 days, 6 days to go, so I'm sure that's possible. And then the sock design, I was away from my hometown for like 3 days over the weekend. I was kind of travelling across the country to see people. I went to Oxford, I went to Bristol, I was in London for a day. Unfortunately I didn't do any filming of that to show you guys. only on my train journeys there, because like I say, I kind of, although I regret not filming stuff and also not taking photos with my friends that I saw, I was too caught up in the moment of enjoying being with them, so you know, it's all for a good reason. But the sock design I've been working on my train journeys, and this is where I'm at with the first sock. So I have done the cuff and I'm on the heel. You know, this is going to be a fairly simple design. I just have this slight bit of colour work here. So the inspiration for this is the first time I've talked about it. It's like the skyline of a city. So for me, the inspiration was the skyline of downtown Vancouver with all the skyscrapers. But it's just a simple 3 like 6 stitch pattern repeat, and I'll be doing that across the foot as well. Again, I'm not going to get both pairs of socks finished before I go back to the UK, but I reckon I can probably finish one, and that means once I've done that I'll be able to finalise the pattern and start the process of having that tech edited and putting it out to test. So by the time I release this video, maybe I'll be in a position to be looking for testers, so stay tuned for that. And then I've been in one yarn store since I've been back as well. Again, I had high hopes of maybe having a tiny bit of time to maybe visit some in Oxford or London, but I just didn't. I mean, I was in London on Sunday, and you know, I probably could have visited some yarn stores after I'd left seeing my friends, but unfortunately a Sunday in the UK, a lot of the yarn stores just weren't open that day, so I couldn't do it. I had a few pinned on my map that I thought if I had a bit of time I could get to, but I was in central London, and as far as I know, there are not any kind of independent yarn stores there. They're slightly further out of town. Some I have been to before when I was living in London, but there was a couple of new ones I thought I'd maybe visit if I had time, but they're closed on a Sunday, so I couldn't go. However, I was in a coastal town called Sheringham in Norfolk just yesterday, and I walked to, there's one yarn store there which I walked into. And I picked up a couple of balls each of this Rico baby DK. One of my sisters is having a baby, and she's due in 3 weeks actually, so I'm very behind in kind of making anything, but I really want to make a blanket for this baby, and these colours are going to be a start of it. I think I'd like to make the blanket, is it Laura Penrose on Instagram has designed? It's like a kind of half, like lots of triangles, kind of patchwork design. I'd like to make a kind of baby-sized version of that, so I'm thinking of these colours, maybe one other colour, and put it together with the cream and kind of make a blanket with that. But this was my starting point. I kind of saw these. I know this yarn is really good for babies. It's very soft. It can be put in the washing machine, which I think is important, you know, as much as I tend to try and use natural fibres. When it comes to baby clothes, I think you just want something that you can put in the wash very easily and not have to worry about it shrinking. So I've got these as a starting point, and now I kind of want to get going with this, but I'll wait till I get back to Vancouver. So yeah, that's me so far. Whether I'll get to any more yarn stores in the time I've got left, I'm really not sure, but obviously you'll be seeing it if I do. But yeah, this is just my mini check-in, and now to carry on with the rest of the trip. I'm currently walking down one of the older streets in Norwich. Behind me are a couple of Norwich's classic iconic places. So we've got the covered market right behind me, and then Norwich Castle just there. And I am going to go and check out the little Fibre store that's in the market. so I'm back in Vancouver now. As you can tell, my usual background is back. So I'm reviewing all the footage to get this video ready for publishing. I did kind of feel I'm lacking, and I know I did also mention that in one of the bits that I filmed, that I had an idea that this would be like quite a travel vloggy, knitting orientated vlog, and it is a bit of that, but I just didn't do as much content as I had initially wanted to, but for very good reasons. As I said, like spending time with family and friends, like that really was the main priority of this trip, and you know, attending my friend's wedding and prepping like the bachelorette party and kind of helping support in the run up to that. So I was super busy, like I barely had any time to myself apart from when I was travelling on trains. I spent a lot of time on trains and buses to see people, and that's where I got some knitting time in. But yeah, so overall, had a really lovely time. It was very busy. I've been back for a few days now. The jet lag is not too bad. Had a good night's sleep last night. The first two had been a bit of a disaster. So in the last clips that you saw, I did visit a couple of yarn stores in Norwich. I didn't actually end up buying anything from them. There wasn't anything I needed, and I knew I didn't have the space for anything more than the things I had already bought and things that I was needing to bring back anyway. So I didn't buy anything, but I hope you enjoyed filming them. They are the two that are in the main city of Norwich, which is the city that my family live in and I grew up in. It's not somewhere that's super, it's not a tourist destination, I guess, if you're visiting the UK. It's only a couple of hours, maybe less, on the train from London, and it is a really pretty town. It's very historic, lots of history there, so if you are in the UK for an extended period of time and you wanted to go somewhere a bit different, Norwich is a good choice. And the North Norfolk coastline, which you can get to via kind of trains and buses, or obviously a car if you are driving, that's a very beautiful part of the country. It's very different. Norfolk, the kind of county that Norwich is in, is very different to here in Vancouver. It's one of the flattest areas in England, so growing up, if we ever went kind of more northern England, it was always amazing to see kind of hills and mountains. You know, like here, these mountains every day, I kind of can't believe my eyes because it's so different to what I saw growing up, and even living in other areas of England in the south. You just don't see the mountains like that, so it's always a very like contrast, but you can appreciate the beauty of them both. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you was that I optimistically said in that kind of review that I did halfway through my trip that I thought I would finish my open edge tee and have one sock finished of my new design. Well, disaster struck for both of those projects and one other one actually, so I wanted to just show you those now because I want to share the failures, not just the kind of good stuff and the finished projects and anything that's going well. I think it's important to kind of show the good and the bad. So there's actually 3 disasters to show you. One actually came right at the top of the trip. So the first day I was back was the hen party for my friend who was getting married. And I showed you in my last video, I made a sequin version of my Gastown top, which I loved. I don't think I explained in that video that when I was doing the body of it, because it's a top that's worked kind of bottom up, I had actually made it a little bit longer than planned as it turned out. And because I'd already separated for the sleeves and joined them together by the time I realised that, and because I was getting short on time for when I needed this top to be finished, I didn't want to kind of rip it back out and start again. I didn't have the time for it. So I thought that when I was adding the ribbing, which is kind of the last thing you do in the pattern at the bottom, I thought what I would do and be very smart was to add the ribbing kind of at the level that I wanted it to be at, and then I would simply just cut the rest off. I thought this would work. I didn't think it through too heavily, like you'll see, I clearly did not. I just thought adding it there, I'd be able to cut it because the ends of the main body of the top would be secured because I'd added the ribbing. Well, very quickly when I was wearing it that night at the hen party, which unfortunately I don't have any pictures of me in my final outfit. I didn't I didn't take any. I'm in the background of some blurry ones, but they're not worth showing, unfortunately, because it was a fun outfit that I would never normally wear. But anyway, so the disaster is that, of course, some of you may have guessed already, things started to separate. The ribbing was coming away, so obviously it was not secure like I thought. It would I started a few strands kind of came away quite soon after putting it on when we were getting ready to go out for the evening. And towards the end of the night, it had just almost completely dropped away. So that's a bit devastating because I really like this and I don't know what to do now. I don't know if I can I don't know how to save it. I would love anyone to tell me, would there have been a different way to do that so this didn't happen? Can I save it? I don't know if I'd be able to just rip it all out and unravel it and start again. I worry because it was 2 yarns together, how easy that's going to be to unravel. I might give it a try because I really would have loved to have worn this again. So that was quite devastating. But if I had had more time and I didn't have a deadline to that project, I would have probably just ripped it all back out and done it to the correct length. But because I was pushed for time and I really wanted to wear it for this occasion, I just did something that I thought would work, but I'm not as smart as I thought. So lesson learned, and everyone else don't do what I do. And then the other disasters, I'll start with the open edge tee. This one is savable. It was just annoying. So I really did think that I would get this finished. And I think I would have. It's just that. So I think where I left off, I had done the front and I was working on the back and I was almost ready to join the shoulder seams together, and then you add like kind of shorter sleeves. But what I discovered when I went to seam the shoulders together is that I have done too much. I did too long on the front, so when I'm joining, how can I show you this? The kind of front is much longer than the back, so it means that the kind of centre of the shoulders would not be aligned. I'm really not able to show you this very well. And sorry, I'm just looking. You can actually see what I'm showing you. So it's the kind of what would be the centre is around here, and it should be here. So, and I did think, I'd just make the back a bit longer to counter that, but then it would just mean that this is a really, the front would just be a very deep V that I don't really want. So I think I'm gonna have to just rip this back a bit and start again. And I'm not sure how I did it. The back is definitely the right measurement according to the schematic of the pattern. But this is, both the front bits are longer, so I'm not sure what I did, but I think I'm just gonna rip that back out and go again. It wouldn't be too bad, but I realised that when I was back in the UK and I thought, oh, I don't have time to rip it back out, I'm just gonna wait until I'm back in Vancouver and I have kind of more time. It's not just trying to do it in a rush because I'm in between doing other things. So that one's okay. Disaster, but a savable disaster. And then finally, do you want to know what happens if you accidentally get your project bag with a project in it in the laundry? This is what happens. And broken needles. So stupid me, because I was staying with my mum and I had like a pile of laundry that I wanted ideally to be done while I was back there, and she said that she'd do it for me. I just had to put a pile in the laundry basket. So I just scooped up the clothes I had on the floor, yep, and popped in the basket, done. And the next day she told me that she did the wash with, her clothes as well, and when she got stuff out of the wash, she saw yarn tangled around everything. I've actually started to try and salvage this. Doesn't look like it at all. But basically what had happened is the project bag I had this in, that I was working on and taking around with me, I must have put on the floor and then put like laundry on top of it. Not realised at all, so when I scooped everything up I didn't see it. Mum obviously then put it in the wash, also didn't see. And it's just created a mess. It was also completely tangled around one of my bras, but I wanted to kind of save you from that vision. So yeah, I'm now just gutted because yeah, one of my needles completely bust. You can see the, oh, you can't see. It's just completely gone. And then even the ones that stayed on the needle, so I initially thought, okay, great, it's not completely lost. This bit has broken. One stayed intact. But yeah, this one has broken. And I don't know if you remember, but in my yarn store tour of Vancouver, I bought those needles then. So I'm quite disappointed because they're very new. So I've had to order some more, which is obviously financially frustrating. I'm just generally very annoyed with myself for not noticing it, not checking. But I picked things up to make sure that there was nothing in there. I mean, I didn't really think I would find my knitting there, but I'm just really annoyed that I didn't check, because now I either am going to spend loads of time unravelling this yarn, and this pink is the only yarn I have of this pink, or I'm just going to do this design again with different yarn. I think the sock itself was not damaged in the wash. I think the sizing has stayed the same, luckily, and it actually didn't unravel too much. I was on the kind of heel flat when it went in the laundry, and it's it would be salvageable. I just have to rip it back a little bit when I get the new needles. But yeah, that's mad. And when I realised that, it was 2 days before I came home, and I just thought, ugh, what a mess. I'd already discovered, you know, my crochet Gastown top falling apart, the open edge tee I had got wrong with the measurements, and then that, it just feels like a setback, especially the sock, because that's a new design and I really wanted to have had one sock written so I could start writing the pattern and move that, you know, that process with tech editing and testing and getting the ball rolling on that so it would be ready for kind of mid-fall. But yeah, I don't know if that will happen now. I just have to decide what I'm going to do with the yarn, and what do I do, change colours. I need to wait for the needles to arrive. I've ordered some for delivery because the yarn store where I bought these needles from originally it's quite a drive away from here, so I just ordered some new ones online, and I think they're due to arrive in a week. So yeah, it's going to set me back. It's kind of set me back what I had in mind a couple of weeks. I can still start writing a pattern, but I don't want to write the whole thing when I haven't even finished one sock, you know. So they're my disasters. Don't be like me, always check your laundry. Yeah, anyway, I hope you did enjoy this tour. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you like Oxford and Bristol and places I visited. I mean, to be honest, Bristol I was barely there, but Oxford and London, they're two places that I used to live, and they're really great places. I would have loved to have had more time on my own, so I maybe could have visited some yarn stores as well, but I'm not gonna, you know, I wanted to see my friends more than I wanted to spend time on my own, obviously. So maybe in the future there'll be more from the UK. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you know, what you've seen of the UK from my video makes you like to visit, or where you have visited, where you'd like to visit in the future. Let me know. And if you have any kind of ideas for what I can do to save my Gastown top, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not already. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I will see you next time for another episode of Wander and Create with Emma. Bye.